Hi again, everyone. I am the Cantankerous Collector. This is episode number 80. So, this is going to be a quick episode. I was going through some of my stuff and I found this box here. This is from 1997. This is a Doctor Strange statue, and this is, I think, my only Doctor Strange statue that I own. I have some figurines and stuff of him, but yeah, I was never a huge fan of him. I mean, he's A-list Marvel, most definitely, and he appeared with a lot of the other Marvel characters in the Marvel universe over the years in their comic books and in his own. When I was a kid, I had this paperback book. I had a few of these, including a Doctor Strange one, and I used to take these to school and read them. And they reprinted the original stories from back in the 60s, mainly when he first appeared in the comic book Strange Tales. I remember it was real tough to get through them because they were so wordy. I mean, each panel had a ton of text in them, and it was a bunch of people like standing around talking all the time, and it was verbose. I guess I think that's the word, verbose. um, but the panels were filled with these word balloons, and it's just so much text that I don't know. It was tough to get through all this stuff. And on top of that, they're talking about the occult and black magic, and it's like, what the? The writing was real heavy. There's just a lot of text, and it was a lot of crazy stuff about the hoary hordes of Hogoth. I don't know if those guys are doing drugs back then or not, but it was less superhero and more mystical. And I have a lot of those reprinted now in those epic collections, and one of these days I'm going to go back and read a lot of that stuff. But he was in the Defenders comic book with the Hulk and Namor the Submariner. He crossed over into Marvel 2-in-1, Marvel Team Up. He had an appearance in Amazing Spider-Man, drawn by John Romita, which is really awesome artwork. So he was a cool character. It's just I wasn't really a huge fan. But when this came out, this was kind of a surprise. And if remember correctly, Applause, who produced this, they had the statue license back in the late 90s, because I remember Bowen Designs started doing their mini busts, and some of us were saying, "Yeah, these are cool. How about some, full size statues of the characters?" And I don't think he was able to produce them because Applause had the license. It's different now because they give licenses out to everybody, but I guess for Marvel statues, Applause was the only company that could make statues based on Marvel characters. And that's when this was produced. So Applause created a lot of merchandise for Marvel Comics, DC Comics. They did a lot of Star Wars stuff. I think they started around the late 80s up until the late 90s, and they produced some really cool stuff. There's a lot of mugs, and I think they did a bunch of these Steve Ditko inspired Spider-Man figures, which I have somewhere, which were really cool and kind of a surprise at the time. But they produced a lot of cool stuff, and so this is from 1997. I thought I'd open it up and see what it looks like, because I forget. It's been that long since I've looked at this. I think this probably retailed for $50 to $75 at the time, and I don't think it's highly sought after or anything. This box art here is by I believe that's Kevin Nolan artwork. Oh, look, this says For adult collectors only. This is not a toy. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't open it. Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my line. When I dial my baby's number, I get a click every time. Oh. Oh. What do we have here? Oh. Oh, this isn't bad. This is kind of cool. This is kind of neat. So yeah, I mean it's a $50 statue from 27 years ago. So, you know, the industry has gotten a lot better. He looks pretty good here. He always had a cool costume with the cape and the with the high collar on the cape. At one point he wore a blue mask, which was actually really cool. I'm not sure why he wore that. I don't think I've ever read any stories with him in the blue mask. Yeah, I got to read all that stuff. So we've got a snake, which I don't know um, what the point of that is. I don't know if he had a snake. It's a green king cobra, I reckon. We've got a book of spells or something. He's got what looks like a staff. But this is actually, I like this. I like all different types of statues. I'm not looking. Well, yeah, I'm okay. I'm looking for the greatest representation of a character, sure, but that's not all I want. I mean, I like different interpretations as long as it's in the classic vein, and the characters look like I think they're supposed to look. But I like different levels. I don't need $1,000 statues. A $50 statue, if it looks decent, and in this case, yeah, it's on par with how much I like the character, I guess. His face is kind of covered up a little with the huge collar he's got. So much for peripheral vision. He's going to need the eye of Agamotto to get around Greenwich Village. She let the phone ring 20 times before she answered. Let me tell you what happened then. A minute later, I got the operator saying, please hang up and place your call again. Baby, Mr. Telephone Man, there's something wrong with my line. I redboxed the movie a few years ago, and I didn't get through it all. I don't know. And it wasn't because I didn't like it. It just didn't really hold my interest, and then I probably fell asleep, and then I ended up having to take it back, and I'd be willing to watch it again. Maybe the next time I drop acid. Doctor Strange's partner, Clea, she was a real looker. But again, her backstory was just as convoluted as Doctor Strange's. The only thing I remember about Clea is she had white hair, she wore a purple outfit, and she had puffy nipples. Let's see now. Yeah, these are numbered. So this is number 1,322 out of 1,500. Oh, so that for insurance purposes. I remember it was kind of odd to see a Doctor Strange statue. I mean, this is it's cool to see stuff like this when a company takes chances and stuff, and that's a pretty low run, you know. So I'm sure it probably wasn't a huge seller, but I think this is neat. I'm glad I got this. This will look good in a case. All right, that's it for today. Check out my other videos, and I will see you soon.